My wife's sister got married and didn't invite me to her wedding. My sister doesn't like you. She thinks you're pathetic. My wife sighed. So I canceled her honeymoon payment, canceled her house mortgage, and cut off all contact with her. My name's Calvin Moore, and apparently, according to my wife of 14 years, I'm pathetic. Yeah, you heard that right. Pathetic. Not a little boring, or kind of lame, or even sometimes embarrassing at parties. Nope. Full-blown, unfiltered, soul-crushing pathetic. And you know what the real kicker is? She said it while buttering toast. Casually, like she was telling me we were out of milk or that it might rain later. Just another Thursday morning in the Moore household. Except this particular Thursday came with a side of emotional devastation served on our wedding china. Let me paint you a picture here. I'm sitting at our kitchen island, the one I picked out, by the way, because Renee said she didn't have time for furniture shopping, drinking my coffee and scrolling through my phone when I noticed something weird. My buddy Trent had texted me a screenshot of a wedding invitation. Not just any wedding invitation, mind you, but one for Renee's sister Claudia's upcoming nuptials. Big, fancy, embossed lettering, the whole 9 yards. Dude. Trent's message read, "Even I got invited to your sister-in-law's wedding. You going?" I stared at that message for a solid 30 seconds, my brain doing that thing where it tries to make sense of information that makes absolutely no sense. Trent got invited? Trent, who met Claudia exactly once at a barbecue 3 years ago where he accidentally called her Claudette the entire time. That Trent? So naturally, I turned to my wife, who was standing at the counter in her silk pajamas that cost more than my first car, meticulously spreading organic butter on gluten-free toast like she was performing surgery. "Hey, babe," I said, keeping my voice light and casual because I'm an adult and adults communicate, right? Trent just sent me a screenshot of Claudia's wedding invitation. I didn't know we got one. Where'd we put ours? Renee didn't even look up, didn't pause in her butter-spreading mission. Just said, "We didn't get one, Cal." Just like that. For words. Delivered with all the emotion of a GPS telling you to turn left. I laughed, because obviously this was a joke, right? Some kind of weird Davenport family prank I wasn't in on yet. Wait, what? What do you mean we didn't get one? That's when she finally looked at me, and I swear to God, there was this little flicker of something in her eyes. Annoyance? Pity? I couldn't quite pin it down, but whatever it was, it made my stomach drop. "My sister doesn't like you, Cal," she said, taking a delicate bite of her toast. "She thinks you're pathetic." Then she picked up her coffee mug, the one that said, "But first, champagne," in gold cursive, and took a sip like she'd just commented on the weather forecast. Pathetic. The word just hung there in the air between us, taking up space like an uninvited guest. I felt it hit me square in the chest, and for a second, I couldn't breathe. Not because I'm some fragile flower who can't handle criticism, but because this was my wife. The woman I'd been married to for 14 years. The woman I'd supported through 3 failed business ventures, 2 spiritual awakenings, and 1 very expensive 6-month, finding herself, trip to Bali. And she just sat there, calmly eating toast, while casually dropping the news that her family thought I was pathetic and had apparently held a family vote to exclude me from a major life event. Let me give you some context here, because I'm not just some guy who showed up and married into this family yesterday. I'm 45 years old, a mechanical engineer with a damn good job at a firm that designs components for aerospace companies. I'm not curing cancer or anything, but I'm good at what I do, and I make solid money. When Renee and I got married, I thought I was pretty lucky. She was beautiful, charming, came from what I naively thought was a good family. Her people had money, old money, the kind that came with expectations and country club memberships and casual references to summering, places like that's a verb normal people use. The Davenports. God, where do I even start with these people? Renee's mother, Margot, is the kind of woman who wears pearls to the grocery store and refers to anyone who shops at Target as quaint. She runs this charity organization that's supposedly about helping underprivileged kids, but somehow 90% of the budget seems to go toward her wardrobe and administrative lunches at 5-star restaurants. Then there's Claudia, Renee's younger sister, who's 28 and calls herself an influencer because she has like 12,000 Instagram followers. Her big claim to fame was a post about vegan candles that went viral. And by viral, I mean it got 5,000 likes. which apparently qualifies you for celebrity status in the Davenport universe. And me? I'm the guy from Cleveland. My dad was a truck driver, my mom was a nurse. I put myself through college working 2 jobs, graduated with honors, and built a career from scratch. I thought that would count for something. I thought being a good husband, being supportive, being the guy who shows up and does the work, I thought that mattered. But apparently, in the Davenport family hierarchy, I'm just the ATM machine that occasionally says embarrassing things at dinner parties. Because let's be real here, I've been funding the Davenport lifestyle for years. When Margot's charity needed a small loan of 10 grand to cover some mysterious shortfall, who do you think wrote that check? When Claudia's influencer dreams required professional photography equipment, who sponsored that little investment? When Renee's car broke down, the luxury SUV she absolutely needed, because driving anything else would be humiliating, who made sure she got a brand new lease? This guy? This pathetic guy right here. Make things awkward. I repeated, my voice coming out quieter than I intended. What does that even mean? Renee sighed like I was exhausting her with my need for basic explanations. You know how you are, Cal. At family dinners, you tell those long work stories that nobody really follows. You wear those old sweaters that have stains. You don't really fit. She said fit, like it was a euphemism for something much worse, like I was a puzzle piece that someone had jammed into the wrong spot, and now the whole picture was ruined. I sat there, coffee getting cold in my hand, and felt something shift inside me. It wasn't anger exactly. It was more like clarity. Crystal clear, high-definition clarity. This woman, this family, they'd been tolerating me, using me, probably laughing about me at their brunches and their charity galas and their precious family gatherings. And I'd been so busy trying to be supportive, trying to be good enough, that I hadn't seen it. Or maybe I had seen it and just didn't want to admit it. Cool, I said finally, setting my mug down carefully on the marble countertop. That's really cool, Renee. Thanks for clarifying. She looked at me with something like concern, but it was superficial, the kind of concern you show when your phone battery is low, not when you've just destroyed your husband's dignity. Don't be dramatic, Cal. It's just one wedding. You can stay home, watch the game or whatever. Watch the game or whatever. Like I'm some sitcom dad whose entire existence revolves around beer and sports. Like I don't have feelings or pride or any reason to be hurt that my wife's entire family voted me off the island and she didn't even have the decency to defend me. I forced a smile. It was the kind of smile that probably looked more like a grimace, but I held it. You're absolutely right, I said. I am pathetic. You know what else is pathetic? Paying for a lifestyle you can't afford on your own. Let's see how pathetic feels when the bills stop paying themselves. Renee's eyes widened slightly, but I was already standing up, grabbing my keys, heading for the door. I had work to do, plans to make, a whole new perspective on life to embrace. Because if I was going to be pathetic, I was going to be strategically, magnificently pathetic. The kind of pathetic that comes with consequences. If you've never had the displeasure of dining with the Davenport family, let me tell you, you're missing out on a truly special form of psychological torture. These people could teach a masterclass in passive-aggressive wealth flexing and casual cruelty disguised as concern. Every single family dinner feels like I'm being auditioned for a role I'm never going to get, and the casting directors are already disappointed before I even open my mouth. Renee's mother, Margot Davenport, is what happens when you give a narcissist unlimited funds and a subscription to Vogue. The woman is 63 but looks 45 thanks to what I can only assume is a team of plastic surgeons working around the clock. She's got this thing where she touches her pearls whenever someone says something she considers beneath her, which is basically everything that comes out of my mouth. Last month at dinner, I mentioned that I'd fixed our garbage disposal myself, and she literally gasped and clutched her pearls like I'd just confessed to performing amateur surgery. You put your hands in the drain, Calvin? How very resourceful. The way she said resourceful made it sound like a disease you catch from not having enough money. Her charity, Margot's Mission for Youth, is supposedly dedicated to helping underprivileged children get access to education and opportunities. Noble cause, right? Except somehow, every single fundraiser seems to involve $1,000-a-plate dinners at country clubs, and Margot's administrative expenses include a new Chanel suit for every board meeting. When I once gently suggested that maybe more of the donated money should actually go to, the kids, Margot looked at me like I'd suggested she start shopping at Walmart. Calvin, darling, she said, patting my hand like I was a confused child. One must look successful to attract successful donors. It's called optics. Yeah, optics. That's what we're calling embezzlement these days. Then there's Claudia, the golden child, the baby of the family, the influencer extraordinaire. I've never met anyone more convinced of their own importance based on so little actual accomplishment. Don't get me wrong, the girl's beautiful. She's got the same striking features as Renee, the kind of looks that photograph well and open doors. But she's 28 years old and has never held what most people would consider a real job. Her entire career consists of posting photos of herself at expensive restaurants, wearing clothes that brands occasionally send her for free, and writing captions about living authentically and manifesting abundance. Her crowning achievement was a post about vegan candles, literally just picture of some candles with a long caption about sustainable living. That got 5,000 likes. 5,000, not 5 million, not even 50,000. 5,000. And based on that, she now introduces herself at parties as a digital entrepreneur and lifestyle curator. I remember the candle incident specifically because Claudia brought it up at dinner for literally 6 months straight. You know, my vegan candle post really resonated with people, she'd say, swirling her organic wine. I think I'm finally finding my voice as an influencer. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there having just finished designing a component that's going to be used in satellite technology. But sure, let's talk about your candle photography skills for another hour. And Renee? God, Renee. My wife has spent our entire marriage trying to prove to her family that marrying me wasn't a mistake, which is hilarious because the harder she tries, the more they seem to pity her. She's like a contestant on a game show where the prize is her family's approval, and the game is rigged because she married someone from Cleveland whose father drove trucks. At family dinners, she laughs too loud at her mother's jokes, agrees with everything Claudia says, and occasionally throws me under the bus as a sort of offering to the Davenport gods. Oh, Cal doesn't really understand fine wine, she'll say when I have the audacity to order something I actually like. Or, he's more of a beer and sports guy. Which isn't even true. I barely watch sports. But it fits their narrative of me as the blue-collar husband who somehow tricked their precious Renee into marriage. The dinners themselves are a carefully choreographed performance of superiority. We always meet at places with names like the Primrose or Chateau Wellington, restaurants where the menus don't have prices and the portions could fit in a thimble. Everyone dresses like they're attending a gallery opening, and conversations revolve around 3 topics. Places they've traveled, people they know who are more successful than you, and subtle digs at anyone not present to defend themselves. Did you hear about the Hendersons? Margot will say, leaning in conspiratorially. They had to sell their summer house in the Hamptons. Apparently, Richard's business isn't doing as well as they'd led everyone to believe. How embarrassing. And everyone will nod sympathetically while secretly celebrating someone else's downfall. The night before Claudia's wedding, we had one of these delightful family dinners. It was at some new French place that Margot had discovered, the kind of restaurant where the waiters explain each dish like they're describing fine art. We were celebrating Claudia's upcoming nuptials, and the conversation was even more insufferable than usual. Her fiancé, Marcus, was there, this finance bro type with slicked back hair and a watch that cost more than my car. He kept talking about disrupting the market and maximizing synergies, and everyone nodded along like he was dropping profound wisdom instead of corporate buzzword soup. So, Marcus, I said during a rare break in his monologue, what exactly does your company do? He looked at me like I'd just asked him to explain Basic Edition. We're a boutique investment firm specializing in high-yield opportunities for accredited investors, he said slowly, as if talking to someone who might not understand big words. It's pretty complex. Mostly private equity, some venture capital. I nodded. So you invest rich people's money and take a cut. The table went silent. Margot touched her pearls. Claudia's smile froze. Marcus's jaw tightened. That's a reductive way of putting it, he said coldly. Renee kicked me under the table. The conversation moved on, but the damage was done. I'd committed the cardinal sin of making things awkward, of not playing along with the illusion that we were all operating on some higher plane of existence. Later, while Margot was describing her upcoming trip to Tuscany, her 4th time this year, she casually mentioned how middle-class people always look so tired. Everyone laughed. Nobody looked at me, but I felt it. That was aimed at me, the guy who actually works for a living instead of living off inherited wealth and pretending it's a personality. When we got home that night, Renee disappeared into our walk-in closet and emerged wearing this silk robe that probably cost more than some people's monthly rent. She was checking her phone, scrolling through photos of wedding dresses or flower arrangements, or whatever people obsess over before weddings they're actually invited to. "Don't wait up tomorrow, okay?" she said without looking at me. "I'll be at Claudia's wedding all day. Probably won't be home until late." I looked up from my laptop where I was reviewing some technical drawings. "So I'm really not invited? Like, this is actually happening?" She sighed. That long-suffering sigh she uses when she's annoyed that I'm making her explain things she thinks should be obvious. "Claudia wants an elegant atmosphere, Cal. She's very particular about the energy at her events. She doesn't want." She trailed off, and I could fill in the blank. "She doesn't want pity energy. She doesn't want the disappointment of her sister's working-class husband bringing down the vibe. She doesn't want to explain to her fancy friends why one of the guests shops at regular stores and thinks a nice dinner costs $50 instead of $500. "Got it," I said, my voice flat. "Elegant atmosphere. Can't have the mechanical engineer ruining the aesthetic." Renee's expression softened slightly, but it was performative, the kind of sympathy you show a dog that's not allowed on the furniture. "It's not personal, Cal. It's just, you know how my family is." Oh, I knew exactly how her family was. I'd been dealing with their casual contempt for over a decade. I'd smiled through their backhanded compliments, funded their emergencies, showed up to their events, and played the role of the grateful outsider who was lucky to be associated with the Davenport name. And now, apparently, I wasn't even good enough for that. "Hope she enjoys the honeymoon," I said, turning back to my laptop. Renee paused, one hand on her phone, her face showing the first flicker of confusion. "What honeymoon?" I smiled, not looking up from my screen. "Exactly." She stood there for a moment, trying to figure out if I was joking, then shook her head and walked away. I heard her bedroom door close. Yeah, we'd been sleeping in separate rooms for months, another thing I'd been pretending not to notice. I sat there in the dim light of my office, listening to the silence of my own house, and felt something crystallize inside me. It wasn't just anger, though there was plenty of that. It was clarity. Pure, undiluted clarity. These people had been using me as their personal ATM machine, tolerating my presence only when it came with financial benefits, and treating me like an embarrassment the rest of the time. And I'd let them. I'd played along, thinking that if I just tried hard enough, supported enough, paid for enough things, they'd eventually accept me. But that was never going to happen. To them, I'd always be the guy from Cleveland who wasn't quite good enough for their precious Renee. Well, if I was going to be pathetic, I might as well be strategically pathetic. The kind of pathetic that comes with consequences. The kind that makes people realize what they had only after it's gone. I opened my laptop and started making a list. Everything in my name. Every account, every bill, every financial commitment I'd made for this family. And next to each item, I wrote one word: cancel. The seed of revenge that had been planted that morning over toast and casual cruelty, it was sprouting, and it was going to grow into something beautiful. Saturday morning arrives with the kind of perfect weather that feels like the universe is mocking you. Bright sunshine, clear blue skies, birds chirping like they're auditioning for a Disney movie. It's the kind of day that's made for weddings. Specifically, it's made for Claudia's exclusive vineyard ceremony where everyone who matters will be sipping champagne and celebrating love, while I sit at home like the family embarrassment I apparently am. I wake up around 7, which is late for me on a weekend. Usually, Renee's alarm goes off at 6:30, and even though she's in the other bedroom, the sound travels through our house and wakes me up anyway. But this morning is different. This morning, I hear her moving around extra early, probably around 5, the sound of her shower running, the hairdryer going, the frantic energy of someone preparing for a major social event. By the time I shuffle into the kitchen in my old MIT sweatshirt and pajama pants, she's already a vision of designer perfection. Hairstyled in those loose waves that somehow cost $200 at the salon, makeup flawless, wearing a dress that probably has a name instead of just a price tag. She's standing at the counter, checking her reflection in her phone camera, adjusting an earring. When she sees me, there's this flicker of something across her face. Guilt? Discomfort? Or maybe just annoyance that I'm witnessing her preparation for an event I'm explicitly banned from. Morning, she says, her voice tight. There's coffee in the pot. How generous. She made coffee before abandoning me for her family's elegant celebration. I should probably write her a thank you note. Have fun at the wedding, I say, pouring myself a cup. My voice is flat, emotionless, and I can see it throws her off. She was probably expecting anger or sadness, some kind of emotional reaction she could feel guilty about or use as evidence that I'm being dramatic. Instead, I'm giving her nothing. Just a bland, neutral statement that could mean anything or nothing at all. Cal, she starts, and I can hear the familiar tone. She's about to launch into some speech about how this isn't personal, how I should understand, how family dynamics are complicated. I hold up my hand. It's fine, Renee. Really, you should get going. Don't want to be late. She studies me for a moment, her perfectly painted lips pressed together, then nods. I'll probably be home late. The reception is going until midnight, and then there's an after-party at the estate. Of course there is. Can't just have a normal wedding reception like regular humans. The Davenports need an after-party at the estate because apparently 12 hours of celebration isn't enough. Cool, I say. I'll be here, doing pathetic things. Maybe I'll reorganize my sock drawer. Really lean into the whole mediocre husband vibe. She flinches at that, actually flinches, but she doesn't apologize. Doesn't say, you know what, this is wrong. You should come with me. She just grabs her designer clutch, the one I bought her for Christmas last year, and walks out. I hear her car start, the expensive purr of the engine I'm still making payments on, and then she's gone. The house feels different in the silence. Bigger somehow. Emptier. I stand in the kitchen drinking my coffee, looking around at this life I've built. This beautiful house in a nice neighborhood with its granite countertops and stainless steel appliances. The framed photos on the walls, mostly of Renee, some of us together back when she still smiled at me like she meant it. The furniture we picked out together, except together, mostly meant her choosing and me nodding and paying. When exactly did I become a supporting character in my own life? I finish my coffee, rinse the mug, and walk into my home office. It's the one room in the house that's entirely mine. My desk, my books, my engineering manuals and technical drawings. Renee calls it Cal's Cave, in that affectionate but not really way that's supposed to be cute, but mostly sounds condescending. I sit down at my desk, open my laptop, and pull up a blank document. At the top, I type, financial inventory, things that are about to change. Let me tell you something about being a mechanical engineer. We're trained to think systematically, to break down complex problems into manageable components, to see how all the pieces fit together. It's not just about designing parts. It's about understanding systems, dependencies, consequences. And right now, I'm looking at the Davenport family system, and I'm realizing that I'm the load-bearing wall. Remove me, and the whole structure collapses. It's almost beautiful in its simplicity. I start making a list, and with each item I type, I feel this weird sense of calm washing over me. It's not rage, exactly. It's more like the feeling you get when you finally solve a problem that's been bothering you for months. Everything just clicks into place. First item, the house. Our beautiful 4-bedroom colonial in Westchester is in my name only. Renee insisted on that when we bought it 6 years ago because of some complicated thing with her trust fund and tax implications that I didn't fully understand but went along with because I wanted to make her happy. Her name isn't on the deed. Her name isn't on the mortgage. This house, which she's decorated and redecorated approximately 8,000 times, which she hosts her book club in, which she uses as a backdrop for her Instagram posts about grateful living. It's entirely mine. I make a note. Mortgage, sole ownership. Full control. Second item, the honeymoon. Oh, the honeymoon. This one's my favorite. When Claudia got engaged to Marcus 3 months ago, there was this family dinner where Margot was going on and on about how they needed to have a proper honeymoon befitting the Davenport name. Somewhere exotic, somewhere exclusive, somewhere that would photograph well for Claudia's Instagram. The problem was, and I remember this conversation vividly, Marcus's company was going through some temporary liquidity issues. Rich people speak for, we're broke right now. And Claudia's influencer income, shockingly, doesn't quite cover luxury resort vacations. So guess who Margot looked at with those expectant eyes? Guess who got the phone call the next day about investing in family bonds and helping the kids start their marriage off right? This guy? This pathetic guy? I paid for the entire honeymoon package. $14,800 for 12 days at some ultra-luxury resort in the Maldives. Private villa, personal butler, couple spa treatments, the works. I put it on my credit card, and Margot promised she'd reimburse me eventually, which is code for, "This is a gift, but we're not going to call it that, because then we'd have to actually thank you." The reservation is in my name because, again, I'm the one who paid for it. I pull up the resort's website, find their contact information, and make a note. Maldives honeymoon. Cancellation deadline is 48 hours before check-in. They check in Monday. I glance at the calendar. Today is Saturday. I've got time. Third item, joint bank account. When Renee and I got married, we opened a joint checking account for household expenses. The plan was that we'd both contribute proportionally to our incomes. Except Renee's income from her part-time job at her mother's charity, a job that mostly consists of attending lunch meetings and posting on social media, amounts to maybe $20,000 a year. My engineering salary is substantially more than that. So over the years, the joint account has basically become my account that Renee has access to. I'm the only one who makes significant deposits, but she's got a debit card and uses it freely for everything from groceries to those spontaneous shopping trips that somehow always total more than $1,000. I log into our bank account and check the balance. $17,342, all from my paychecks. I open a new browser tab and start the process of opening a separate personal checking account. It takes about 15 minutes. Modern banking is remarkably efficient when you're planning financial revenge. Fourth item, her car. Renee drives a Mercedes GLE 350. It's leased, and guess whose name is on that lease? If you guessed the pathetic mechanical engineer, you'd be correct. The monthly payment is $850, and I've been making it automatically from my account for 3 years. I pull up the dealership's contact information and add it to my list. Fifth item, credit cards. We have 3 joint credit cards. I'm the primary account holder on all of them. Renee uses them like they're magical pieces of plastic that spontaneously generate money. I'm the one who pays the bills every month. Current combined balance across all 3 cards, $22,000. I feel my blood pressure rising just looking at the number. By the time I finish my list, it's almost 9 in the morning. The wedding ceremony starts at 11, which means right now, Renee is probably arriving at the vineyard, air-kissing her family members, helping Claudia with last-minute details, and absolutely not thinking about her pathetic husband sitting at home. That's fine. I'm not thinking about her either. I'm thinking about system failures and cascading consequences and how satisfying it's going to be to watch this whole house of cards collapse. I pick up my phone and call Trent. He answers on the second ring, his voice gravelly with sleep. "Dude, it's Saturday morning. This better be good." I lean back in my chair, feeling genuinely happy for the first time in days. "Oh, it's good. Remember how I told you about the wedding situation?" He laughs, suddenly more awake. "The one where her whole family banned you?" "Yeah, I remember. I'm still invited, by the way. Got my invitation right here on the fridge. It's embossed. Of course he's still going." Trent thinks the whole thing is hilarious and decided to attend just to report back on the drama. "Well," I say slowly, "I've decided to take your advice about not letting it go." There's a pause, and then Trent's voice comes back, filled with gleeful anticipation. "Oh man, what are you planning?" I look at my list, at all these carefully documented pieces of financial control, and smile. Let's just say I'm about to let go of a lot of things. Right into financial oblivion. Trent laughs so hard I have to hold the phone away from my ear. When he finally catches his breath, he says, "You're terrifying, man. Seriously terrifying. Pathetic, remember?" I correct him, still smiling. Terrifying is a promotion. We talk for a few more minutes, and Trent offers to help however he can, which mostly involves him promising to document the moment when the news of my financial exodus reaches the wedding reception. After we hang up, I sit in my office, surrounded by the evidence of my soon-to-be former life, and feel something I haven't felt in years: powerful, in control, free. The calm before the payback feels a lot like peace. There's something deeply therapeutic about systematically dismantling your own life. I know that sounds unhinged, but hear me out. For 14 years, I've been building this existence where I'm the reliable guy, the responsible one, the ATM machine with feelings that everyone conveniently forgets about. And now, sitting in my office with my laptop open and my phone fully charged. I'm about to become the most unreliable son of a bitch the Davenport family has ever encountered. It's liberating, honestly. Like that feeling you get when you finally cancel a subscription service you've been meaning to quit for months. Except this subscription is my entire marriage, and it's been charging me way more than $9.99 a month. I start with the honeymoon because, let's be real, that's going to be the most immediately satisfying. I pull up the resort's website again, the Celestial Shores Resort and Spa, Maldives. The place looks like something out of a travel magazine that costs $20 and has more ads than articles. Overwater bungalows, infinity pools, that impossibly turquoise water that probably looks better in photos than in real life. The kind of place where they serve breakfast on floating trays and charge you $40 for orange juice. I dial the number listed under reservations and guest services and wait through the hold music, which is some kind of pan flute situation that's probably supposed to be calming, but mostly makes me want to throw my phone across the room. Finally, a woman answers with a voice so cheerful it's almost aggressive. Good morning. This is Amira speaking from the Celestial Shores Resort and Spa. How may I help you create an unforgettable experience today? Create an unforgettable experience. Lady, you have no idea. Hi, Amira. I say, matching her cheerful tone. I have a reservation I need to discuss. Confirmation number CH88429 under Calvin Moore. I hear her typing, and then there's this little intake of breath that people do when they pull up an expensive reservation. Yes, Mr. Moore. I have your booking right here. The premium overwater villa package for 12 nights, checking in this Monday. This is such a beautiful choice for your daughter's honeymoon. Are you calling to confirm any special arrangements? We have some wonderful add-ons available. Actually, Amira, I interrupt, keeping my voice pleasant. I need to cancel the reservation. Completely. Full cancellation. There's a pause, and I can practically hear her brain short-circuiting. People don't cancel $15,000 honeymoons to the Maldives. That's not a thing that happens in her world. Oh, she says, her voice deflating like a balloon. I'm so sorry to hear that. May I ask if there's a particular reason? Perhaps we could reschedule instead? We do have some flexibility with our booking policies for special circumstances. I consider telling her the truth, that my wife's family thinks I'm pathetic and didn't invite me to the wedding. So I'm canceling the honeymoon I paid for as an act of justified revenge. But that seems like a lot to unload on poor Amira, who's just trying to do her job. Let's just say that the bride's family doesn't appreciate pathetic people funding their paradise vacations, I say. Also, there's been a change in the family dynamics. A pretty significant one, actually. She's quiet for a moment, and I wonder if she's dealt with this kind of situation before. Probably not. I understand, sir, she says, her voice now professional and slightly sympathetic. I'll process the cancellation immediately. According to our policy, since you're canceling more than 48 hours before check-in, you'll receive a 50% refund. That would be $7,400 back to your original payment method within 7 to 10 business days. 50%. I'm losing over $7,000, but you know what? Worth it. Absolutely worth it. That's fine, I say. Go ahead and process it. I hear more typing, and then she says, the cancellation is complete, Mr. Moore. You should receive a confirmation email shortly. Is there anything else I can help you with today? Yeah, Amira. You can help me by imagining the look on Claudia's face when she and Marcus show up at the airport Monday morning and discover their luxury honeymoon has evaporated. No, that's everything. Thanks for your help. I hang up and immediately pour myself a bourbon. It's 10:30 in the morning, which is definitely early for hard liquor, but I'm canceling my sister-in-law's honeymoon while she's actively getting married, so I think I've earned it. I take a sip and savor the burn. Step 1, complete. I pull up my email and, sure enough, there's already a cancellation confirmation from the Celestial Shores Resort and Spa. I screenshot it and save it to a folder I've labeled Financial Independence Day. Yes, I'm that petty. Yes, I'm documenting everything. Next up, the mortgage. This one's more complicated because I can't just cancel the mortgage. That's not how mortgages work, and despite what the Davenports might think, I'm not an idiot. But what I can do is change the payment authorization and make sure that Renee has absolutely no access to making decisions about our house. I call our bank, get transferred to the mortgage department, and spend 20 minutes on hold listening to a recording tell me how much they value my business. If they valued it that much, maybe they'd answer the damn phone faster. When I finally get a human being on the line, a guy named Derek who sounds like he'd rather be literally anywhere else, I explain that I need to update the account information on my mortgage. I'm the sole owner of the property, I tell him, and I want to ensure that I'm the only one authorized to make any changes to the account. Can we add some security restrictions? Derek sounds confused. Sir, if you're the only name on the mortgage, you're already the only one who can make changes. Is there a specific concern? Just want to make sure everything's locked down, I say. My wife has been using the online portal to view statements, and I want to remove her access. There's some clicking, and Derek says, I can definitely do that. I'll need to verify your identity first. We go through the security questions, and then he says, okay, I've removed all secondary user access from the account. Your wife will no longer be able to view the mortgage information online. Beautiful. One more thing, I add. Can you change the mailing address for statements? I want everything sent to my office instead of the house. I give him my work address, and Derek processes it without question. By the time I hang up, it's almost 11. The wedding ceremony is starting right about now. I picture Claudia in some ridiculously expensive dress, Marcus in his designer tux, all their wealthy friends gathered at this vineyard, and Renee standing there as the supportive sister, probably tearing up during the vows. None of them have any idea that their comfortable little financial ecosystem is currently being dismantled by the guy they didn't think was worth inviting. Now for the joint account. This is where things get really interesting. I log into our bank's website and navigate to the joint checking account. $17,342 just sitting there. Well, not for long. I open up the new personal account I created earlier. It's already active, which is impressively fast, and initiate a transfer. All of it. Every single penny. The system asks me to confirm, warns me that this will leave the joint account with a zero balance, and I click confirm without hesitation. Transfer complete. The money disappears from the joint account and reappears in my personal account, which only I can access. It takes approximately 30 seconds, and just like that, Renee's unlimited shopping fund has ceased to exist. I lean back in my chair and take another sip of bourbon. This is going better than I expected, but I'm not done yet. Next on the list, her car. I pull up the Mercedes dealership's number and call them. After navigating their phone menu, press 1 for sales, press 2 for service, press 3 if you're about to repo a car from your soon-to-be ex-wife. I finally get through to someone in their leasing department. The guy's name is Brad, and he has that car salesman energy that's trying way too hard to be friendly. Mr. Moore, great to hear from you. How's the GLE treating your wife? Beautiful vehicle, isn't it? Brad sounds like he's reading from a script titled, How to Talk to Customers Like They're Your Best Friend. I cut through the pleasantries. Brad, I need to discuss the lease. I'm the primary leaseholder, and I'm considering terminating it early. What's that process look like? There's a pause, and I can hear Brad's smile faltering through the phone. Early terminations mean he doesn't get to upsell me on a new lease. Well, sir, we certainly hate to lose your business. May I ask why you're looking to terminate? Perhaps there's an issue with the vehicle we can address. No issue with the car, I say. Issue with the driver. Brad clearly doesn't know how to respond to that, so I continue. What are my options here? I want the car returned to you guys. Soon. More clicking, and Brad says, let me pull up your account. Okay. So you've got about 14 months left on the lease. If you terminate early, there's a termination fee, plus you'd be responsible for the remaining lease payments, although we can discuss some options. Or, he perks up here, sensing a sales opportunity. You could trade it in for a new lease, and we could roll everything into a new agreement. How much to just end it and return the car? I ask. Brad does some calculating. With the termination fee and remaining payments, you're looking at about $11,000. 11 grand to get Renee's Mercedes out of my life. I think about those monthly $850 payments I've been making for 3 years. I think about how she never once thanked me for the car, just complained when I suggested she might want to consider something less expensive. Here's what I want to do, I tell Brad. Schedule a pickup. I want you guys to come get the car. Monday morning, first thing. Brad sounds uncertain now. Sir, we need the keys, and typically the leaseholder brings the vehicle to us. I interrupt him. Brad, I'm the leaseholder. My name is on everything. The car is currently at my house. I'm authorizing you to pick it up Monday morning. I'll have the keys ready. Can you make that happen? There's a long pause, and then Brad says, "Let me check with my manager." He puts me on hold, and I wait, finishing my bourbon. When he comes back, he sounds more serious. "Mr. Moore, my manager says we can arrange a pickup for Monday morning between 8 and 10 a.m. We'll need you to sign some paperwork." "Perfect," I say. "Email me whatever I need to sign, and I'll have it ready. Keys will be in the mailbox." Renee usually sleeps until 9 on weekdays. By the time she wakes up Monday morning, her car will be gone. Vanished. Just like my willingness to fund her lifestyle. After I hang up with Brad, I check the time. It's almost noon. The wedding ceremony is probably wrapping up, and they're all moving into the reception. Cocktail hour, probably. Fancy appetizers that cost more per bite than most people spend on lunch. Everyone's happy, celebrating, completely oblivious. I stand up, stretch, and look around my office. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm actually in control of my own life. Not reacting, not accommodating, not bending over backward to make other people comfortable. Just making decisions. My decisions. About my money, my assets, my future. I pick up my phone and text Trent. Honeymoon canceled. Joint account emptied. Car being repoed Monday. How's the wedding? He responds immediately. "Dude, you're my hero. Wedding is boring. Everyone's fake smiling. Claudia's dress is ridiculous. Updates later." I smile and pour myself another bourbon. It's not even 1 p.m. yet, and I've already dismantled 3 major pillars of the Davenport family's comfortable existence. And the best part? They have no idea. Right now, they're all at that vineyard, toasting to love and happiness and new beginnings, completely unaware that their world is about to implode. Sometimes revenge isn't a dish best served cold. Sometimes it's best served while they're distracted, celebrating, too busy congratulating themselves to notice the foundations crumbling beneath them. I raise my glass to the empty room. To financial freedom, I say out loud. And to being gloriously, magnificently pathetic. The afternoon passes in this weird, suspended state of calm. I'm sitting in my house, drinking bourbon that's way too expensive to be day drinking, but not expensive enough to impress the Davenports, watching college football that I'm not really paying attention to, and waiting. Just waiting. Because I know what's coming. I know that at some point today, the reality of what I've done is going to hit them like a freight train made of declined credit cards and canceled reservations, and I want to be present for it. Not physically present, obviously. I'm not invited to their elegant celebration, but spiritually present. Emotionally available for the chaos. Around 3 in the afternoon, my phone buzzes. It's a text from Trent, and it just says, "Reception just started. Open bar. These people can drink." I text back, "How's the bride?" He responds with a photo, a sneaky shot from his table of Claudia and Marcus at the head table, both of them looking like they're posing for a magazine cover even while eating. She keeps checking her phone. Trent adds, "Probably making sure people are posting about her wedding." I laugh out loud. Of course she is. Can't just enjoy your own wedding. You have to make sure it's being properly documented and shared on social media. That's very on-brand for Claudia. I'm about to respond when my phone rings. Unknown number. I consider letting it go to voicemail, but something tells me to answer. "Hello." There's a pause, some background noise, music, chatter, the unmistakable sound of a party in full swing. Then Renee's voice, tight and strained, trying to sound casual, but failing completely. "Cal? Hey, weird question. Did you do something with our joint account?" My heart rate doesn't even increase. I'm that calm. I take a sip of my drink and say, "Define something." Her voice gets sharper. "I just tried to buy a drink at the bar. They're charging for the premium stuff, and my card declined. So I checked the app, and the account is at 0. 0, Cal. Where did the money go?" I let the question hang there for a second, really savoring the moment. This is it. This is the beginning of her understanding that pathetic has consequences. "I moved it," I say simply. "Moved it? What do you mean you moved it? Where?" She's trying to keep her voice down, but I can hear the panic creeping in. I imagine her standing in some corner of the reception venue, probably near the bathrooms, trying to hide the fact that she's having a financial crisis at her sister's wedding. "I opened a personal account," I explain, my voice maddeningly reasonable. "Transferred all the money there. Figured since I'm the only one who actually puts money into that account, it should probably just be mine." Simplifies things. There's silence. Complete silence. I can still hear the party noise in the background, But Renee's not saying anything. I wait, genuinely curious about how she's going to respond. When she finally speaks, her voice is shaking. Cal, this isn't funny. That's our household money. That's for bills and groceries and your shopping trips? I interrupt. And your salon appointments? And your spontaneous purchases that always seem to total about $1,000. More silence. Then, we can talk about this when I get home. Just, can you transfer some money back? I'm at my sister's wedding, and I don't want to make things awkward. I finish for her. Yeah, I know how much you hate awkward situations. Like, say, having to explain to your family why your husband isn't at a major family event. I hear her take a sharp breath. That's what this is about. You're punishing me because of the wedding invitation? Punishing. I laugh, and it's not a nice laugh. No, Renee. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm just aligning my finances with my new status as the pathetic family member who isn't worth including in celebrations. Pathetic people don't fund parties they're not invited to. It's like a whole thing. She starts to say something, but I'm not done. Oh, and while I have you on the phone, you should probably know that I canceled Claudia's honeymoon this morning. The one to the Maldives? Yeah, that's not happening anymore. They'll find out Monday when they try to check in and discover the reservation doesn't exist. I hear her gasp, like I've just told her I burned down the reception venue. You didn't. I absolutely did. I say cheerfully. Got a nice little refund, too. Well, half. But still, $7,000 back in my pocket. Might use it to take myself on a vacation. Somewhere elegant. Create the right atmosphere, you know? Now she's really panicking. I can hear it in her breathing, in the way she's struggling to form words. Cal, you can't. Claudia's going to. Oh my God. Mom is going to lose her mind. Why would you do this? Because I'm pathetic, remember? My voice is harder now, the bourbon-fueled good mood shifting into something colder. And pathetic people apparently don't deserve basic respect or inclusion. So why should I keep paying for your family's lifestyle? You want me to fund weddings and honeymoons and God knows what else, but I'm not good enough to actually attend? That's not how this works anymore. Renee makes this sound that's half sob, half furious scream, trying to keep it quiet so she doesn't draw attention. We'll talk about this later. I can't deal with this right now. She hangs up before I can respond. I look at my phone at the ended call and smile. That went even better than I expected. I text Trent. The news has arrived. Renee knows about the money. Meltdown imminent. He texts back almost immediately. Dude. She just came back to the reception looking like she saw a ghost. She's talking to her mom right now. Margot's face is purple. This is better than the wedding. I'm living for this. I wish I could see it. I really do. I picture Margot Davenport, with her pearls and her perfectly styled hair and her air of superiority, learning that her daughter's pathetic husband has just torched their financial safety net. The image brings me genuine joy. My phone buzzes again. Another call. This time it's actually Renee's number, not unknown. I answer. Miss me already? But it's not Renee. It's Margot, and she sounds like she's about to spontaneously combust. Calvin Moore, what on earth do you think you're doing? Her voice has that clipped, upper-crust rage that rich people do when they're furious but trying to maintain decorum. You've upset Renee terribly, and on her sister's wedding day of all days. This is completely inappropriate. You know what else is inappropriate, Margot? I say, my voice dangerously calm. Not inviting your son-in-law to a family wedding. That's pretty high up there on the inappropriate scale. She makes this dismissive sound, like I'm being ridiculous. That was Claudia's decision, and she had her reasons. But that doesn't give you the right to sabotage. Sabotage. I interrupt. I'm not sabotaging anything. I'm just exercising my right to control my own money. Last time I checked, that's not a crime. Although speaking of money, Margot, remember that $10,000 I loaned your charity last year? The one you were going to reimburse eventually? I'm going to need that back. Soon. I can practically hear her choking on her own indignation. That was a donation, Calvin. For underprivileged children. Funny, you called it a loan at the time. I say. And I've got the text messages to prove it. So either it's a loan that needs to be repaid, or it's a donation and you've been committing fraud. Which one would you like me to tell the IRS it is? Dead silence. I've got her and she knows it. You're being vindictive, she finally says, her voice icy. This isn't like you. You're right, I agree. The old me would have just taken the insult, smiled, and kept paying for everything. But that guy? He's gone. You're talking to the new Cal, and he's pathetic, remember? Pathetic enough to stop being your family's personal bank. Margot's voice gets quieter, more dangerous. You're going to regret this, Calvin. You're destroying your marriage over a petty grudge. I laugh, and I mean it. My marriage was already destroyed, Margot. You just didn't notice because I was still useful. But here's the thing about being pathetic. Once you've got nothing left to lose, you become really unpredictable. Sleep on that. I hang up before she can respond. My phone immediately starts ringing again, but I silence it. I've said what I needed to say. The rest is just noise. Over the next hour, my phone explodes. Texts, calls, voicemails. Renee calls 6 more times. Margot calls twice. I even get a call from a number I don't recognize that turns out to be Claudia, sobbing about her honeymoon, and how could I ruin her special day. I let them all go to voicemail. Every single one. I'm done explaining myself. Done justifying. Done being the reasonable one who absorbs everyone else's dysfunction and pays for the privilege. Around 5 p.m., I get a text from Trent with a photo. It's a shot of the reception, and you can see Renee and Margot in the background, huddled together, both of them on their phones looking stressed. Claudia is visible too, sitting at the head table with her face in her hands while Marcus rubs her back, looking confused. The caption reads, "The vibe has shifted. Half the family is in crisis mode." Margot just yelled at a waiter. "This wedding is a disaster, and I'm here for it." I text back, "Still haven't told them about the car yet. Saving that for Monday." He responds with 3 skull emojis and, "You're evil." I love it. My phone buzzes with another voicemail. I consider ignoring it, but curiosity gets the better of me. I put it on speaker and listen. It's Renee, and she's crying. Actually crying, not the manipulative tears she sometimes uses to get her way. Real, desperate crying. "Cal, please. Please just call me back. I don't understand what's happening. Why are you doing this? We can fix this. Whatever's wrong, we can fix it. Just, please, call me." I listen to the message and feel nothing. Not satisfaction, not guilt, not regret. Just nothing. That probably says something about the state of my marriage. But honestly, I think it said something about my marriage when my wife casually called me pathetic over breakfast and didn't invite me to her sister's wedding. I'm just catching up to reality. I pour myself another drink. I've lost count at this point, but I'm not driving anywhere, so who cares, and settle back into my chair. The football game is still on, but I'm not watching it. I'm thinking about Monday morning. About Renee waking up to find her car gone. About Claudia and Marcus arriving at the airport for a honeymoon that doesn't exist. About Margot trying to maintain her composure while her carefully constructed family image crumbles. My phone buzzes one more time. It's a text from Renee. "Calvin, why is my card declined? And why did the hotel say our honeymoon was canceled?" I look at the message for a long moment. Then I text back one single word, "Pathetic." Then I mute her number, silence my phone completely, and smile. Let them figure it out. Let them scramble. Let them feel what it's like when the foundation they've been standing on suddenly disappears. I've spent 14 years being the foundation, being the support system, being the guy who makes everything work while getting treated like an embarrassment. Not anymore. Now I'm just a pathetic guy who learned to stop caring what the Davenports think. And honestly, it feels amazing. The first thing I notice when I wake up Sunday morning is the silence. Not just regular quiet, but the kind of profound silence that comes from having your phone completely muted and your life temporarily free from other people's chaos. No notifications buzzing. No emergency calls about declined credit cards. No desperate voicemails from people who suddenly care about my existence now that my wallet isn't available. Just pure, beautiful, uninterrupted peace. I lie in bed for a while, staring at the ceiling, and realize this is the first time in maybe a decade that I've woken up without some kind of anxiety gnawing at my stomach. No dreading the next family dinner where I'll be subtly insulted. No worrying about what financial emergency is going to hit my bank account next. No wondering if today's the day Renee finally notices I'm a human being with feelings. Just nothing. Empty, calm nothing. It's glorious. My dog Benny, a 3-year-old golden retriever I rescued 2 years ago over Renee's objections because dogs are so much work, Cal, is lying at the foot of my bed, and when he sees I'm awake, his tail starts thumping against the comforter. This is pure, uncomplicated affection. Benny doesn't care that I'm pathetic. He doesn't judge me for shopping at Target or wearing sweatshirts with stains. He's just happy I exist. I should have been taking relationship advice from my dog this whole time. Morning, buddy, I say, scratching behind his ears. Want to go for a walk? His tail thumps harder, and we both get up. I throw on running shorts and an old engineering conference t-shirt, clip Benny's leash on, and we head out into the neighborhood. It's a beautiful morning. Cool air, clear sky, the kind of October day that makes you understand why people write poems about fall. We walk for about an hour, and I don't think about Renee or her family even once. I think about absolutely nothing, and it's therapeutic in a way that my actual therapist would probably approve of. When we get back home, I make myself a real breakfast. Not the grab-and-go protein bar situation I usually do on weekends when Renee's rushing us to some family obligation. I make scrambled eggs with cheese, bacon, toast, coffee from the expensive beans I bought myself last month. I sit at the kitchen table. Not the island where I got called pathetic, the actual table that we never use because Renee thinks it's too casual. And I eat slowly, reading the news on my tablet, feeding Benny pieces of bacon under the table. This is what Sunday mornings should feel like. Relaxed, unhurried. Mine. Around noon, curiosity gets the better of me, and I unmute my phone. The screen immediately lights up like a Christmas tree. 47 text messages, 23 missed calls, 14 voicemails. It's almost impressive. I scroll through the texts without opening them. Don't want to give anyone the satisfaction of seeing I've read their messages. Most are from Renee, escalating from pleading to angry to confused to angry again. A few from Margot, all of which I can tell from the preview text are dripping with righteous indignation. 3 from Claudia that are just strings of angry emojis. And 1 from a number I don't recognize. I open that one because I'm curious. It says, Mr. Moore, this is Marcus Thornton, Claudia's husband. I think we need to have a conversation man to man about your behavior. This is unacceptable and frankly unhinged. Call me. I read it twice and then actually laugh out loud. Marcus Thornton, finance bro extraordinaire, wants to have a man-to-man conversation with me about acceptable behavior. The same Marcus who refers to people as resources and once told me at a family dinner that poor people just need to work harder while discussing his company's layoffs. That Marcus wants to lecture me about being unhinged. I text back, Hi Marcus, thanks for reaching out. Unfortunately, I'm too pathetic to take financial advice from someone whose honeymoon I just canceled. Best of luck with married life. Pro tip, maybe try funding your own vacations. Then I block his number. One problem solved. Monday morning, I'm up at 6:30 out of pure anticipation. This is the day the car gets repossessed. The day Claudia and Marcus show up at the airport for their non-existent honeymoon. The day everything I set in motion crashes into their lives like a meteor made of consequences. I make coffee, feed Benny, and position myself in my office where I have a clear view of the driveway. Renee still hasn't come home. She texted me Saturday night, saying she was staying at her mother's house, which is fine by me. More peaceful that way. At 8:15, right on schedule, a flatbed tow truck pulls up in front of our house. A guy in a dealership uniform gets out, checks his clipboard, and walks up to the mailbox where I've left the keys exactly as promised. He opens the Mercedes with the fob, does a quick walk around with his phone to document the car's condition, and then loads it onto the flatbed with the efficiency of someone who does this all day, every day. The whole operation takes maybe 10 minutes. I watch from my window, sipping my coffee, feeling like I'm watching the world's most satisfying home improvement show. The truck drives away, and I take a photo of my empty driveway. I text it to Renee with the caption, just FYI, the Mercedes is gone. Lease terminated. You'll need to find alternate transportation. Then I silence my phone again before she can respond. I don't need to see her reaction. I can imagine it perfectly well. At work Monday, something interesting happens. I'm actually good at my job. Like, really good. When I'm not distracted by family drama or worrying about what financial crisis is going to ambush me next, I'm a damn competent mechanical engineer. I finish a design proposal that's been sitting on my desk for 2 weeks. I collaborate with my team on a new project. I even crack jokes during our morning meeting, and people laugh. Real laughs, not polite acknowledgement laughs. My coworker Rachel notices. She's a structural engineer, late 30s, divorced, perpetually caffeinated, and one of the few people at work I actually consider a friend. During lunch, she sits down across from me in the break room and says, Okay, what happened to you? I look up from my sandwich. What do you mean? You're different, she says, studying me like I'm a blueprint she's trying to decipher. You're like, lighter. Did you get a new haircut? Start taking vitamins? Join a cult. I laugh. No cult. Just stop paying for problems that insult me. She raises an eyebrow. That sounds like a story. So I tell her. Not all of it, but the highlights. The wedding exclusion. The pathetic comment. The systematic financial extraction I've executed over the past few days. Rachel listens, and her eyes get progressively wider. When I finish, she's quiet for a second, and then she says, "Holy shit, Cal. You're like a financial assassin." I shrug. I prefer recently liberated, but sure, we can go with assassin. She grins. No, seriously. This is incredible. I mean, it's also kind of terrifying, but mostly incredible. Your wife called you pathetic and didn't invite you to a family wedding. So you just dismantled their entire financial structure? That's some count of Monte Cristo level revenge. Is it revenge if I'm just taking back what's mine? I ask. Rachel considers this. Philosophically, probably still revenge. But justified revenge. The best kind. She leans back in her chair. So what happens now? Are you getting divorced? It's a fair question. One I've been avoiding thinking about too hard. Probably, I say. I mean, I don't see how we come back from this. Even if I wanted to, which I don't. She's never going to forgive me for embarrassing her family. Good, Rachel says firmly. You deserve better than someone who thinks you're an embarrassment. You're smart, successful, funny when you're not stressed out of your mind. Any woman would be lucky to have you. I feel my face getting warm. Thanks, Rach. She waves her hand dismissively. I'm not hitting on you. Well, maybe a little. But mostly I'm just saying you should recognize your own worth. Stop letting people treat you like you're lucky they tolerate you. The rest of the day passes quickly, and when I get home that evening, I notice something. The house feels different. Emptier, obviously, because Renee's still not here. But also better. Like the absence of tension has changed the actual atmosphere. I can breathe deeper. My shoulders aren't up around my ears. I'm not unconsciously bracing for criticism or requests or passive-aggressive comments about my clothes or my friends or my life choices. I make myself dinner, just pasta and a salad, nothing fancy, and eat it while watching a documentary about deep-sea exploration that Renee would have hated. She thinks documentaries are boring, says she doesn't want to learn things when she's trying to relax. I finish the documentary, watch another one about the Mars rover, and then take Benny for a late-night walk around the neighborhood. When we get back, I check my phone one more time before bed. There's a voicemail from Renee, left about an hour ago. Against my better judgment, I listen to it. Her voice is different this time. Not angry, not crying. Just tired. Defeated. Cal, she says quietly. I don't know what you want from me. I don't know how to fix this. My family is furious. Claudia won't stop crying about the honeymoon. Mom says you've shown your true colors. And I don't understand. We've been married for 14 years. Doesn't that mean anything to you? I listen to the whole message and then delete it. Because here's the thing. Yes, 14 years means something. It means 14 years of being tolerated instead of celebrated. 14 years of funding a lifestyle I was never truly part of. 14 years of trying to be good enough for people who were never going to accept me. That means something, all right. It means I wasted 14 years, and I'm not wasting any more. I get ready for bed, and Benny jumps up to sleep at the foot of the mattress, something Renee never allowed because it was unhygienic. I don't stop him. I lie there in the dark, listening to his gentle snoring, and feel something I haven't felt in so long I almost don't recognize it. Contentment. Not happiness exactly, not yet, but contentment. The absence of dread. The presence of peace. My phone buzzes one last time. It's a text from Rachel. Proud of you for standing up for yourself. Want to grab coffee tomorrow before work? I text back. Sure. Thanks. Then I set my phone on the nightstand, pull the blanket up, and close my eyes. For the first time in 14 years, I fall asleep without worrying about who I've disappointed or what I need to pay for or how I can make myself smaller to fit into spaces that were never designed for me. I just sleep. Deep, dreamless, peaceful sleep. And in the morning, I'll wake up and keep building this new life. This pathetic, beautiful, financially independent life that's finally, gloriously mine. 3 weeks pass, and they're the best 3 weeks I've had in recent memory. I settle into a routine that's entirely my own design. I wake up when I want, not when Renee's alarm drags me into consciousness. I eat what I want. Lots of steak, burgers, the kind of food Margot would call pedestrian, while clutching her pearls. I watch whatever I want on TV. I take Benny on long walks. I excel at work because I'm not constantly distracted by family drama or financial anxiety. It's revolutionary, this thing called living for yourself. Rachel and I have coffee most mornings before work, and it becomes this thing I actually look forward to. She's funny, sarcastic in a way that's playful rather than cruel, and she treats me like an actual human being with thoughts that matter. We talk about work stuff, life stuff, nothing stuff. Sometimes she asks about the Renee situation, but she doesn't push when I don't want to talk about it. It's refreshing, having someone in my life who respects boundaries. My therapist, Dr. Kellerman, whom I've been seeing on and off for 5 years mostly to deal with marriage stress, notices the change immediately. At our next session, a Tuesday afternoon appointment I actually remember to attend because I'm not scrambling to handle some Davenport emergency. He leans back in his chair and studies me with that analytical look therapists do. "Calvin," he says slowly, "you seem different. Lighter somehow. What's changed?" I tell him everything. The wedding exclusion, the pathetic comment, the systematic financial dismantling, the 3 weeks of blissful silence. I expect him to do that therapist thing where they gently suggest that maybe my response was disproportionate, that we should explore healthier coping mechanisms, that revenge isn't the answer. Instead, Dr. Kellerman nods thoughtfully and says, "How do you feel about what you did?" Honestly, I lean back. I feel liberated. Like I've been carrying this massive weight for years and I finally just put it down. He nods again. "That's significant, Calvin. In all the years we've been working together, I've watched you contort yourself trying to meet impossible standards set by people who fundamentally don't value you. You've been in survival mode, constantly trying to prevent the next crisis, anticipate the next criticism. That's exhausting. So you don't think I'm having some kind of breakdown?" I ask, half joking. Dr. Kellerman actually smiles. "I think you're having a breakthrough. There's a difference. A breakdown is when you lose your sense of self. A breakthrough is when you find it." He pauses. "Though I will say, moving forward, we should work on establishing boundaries in healthier ways. Maybe with slightly less financial scorched earth tactics." "Noted," I say, grinning. "Next time someone calls me pathetic, I'll just use my words." He laughs. "Baby steps, Calvin. Baby steps." I leave therapy feeling validated in a way I didn't know I needed. Even the professional whose job is to keep me mentally stable thinks the Davenports had it coming. That's got to count for something. The peaceful bubble bursts on a Thursday evening, exactly 3 weeks and 2 days after the wedding. I'm at home, just finishing dinner. Chicken stir-fry that I actually cooked myself because I've been watching cooking videos on YouTube and discovering that I'm not half bad in the kitchen when I'm not stressed, when there's a knock at the door. Not the doorbell. A knock. Aggressive, insistent knocking that sounds like someone's trying to punch through the wood. Benny barks, his tail wagging because he's a terrible guard dog who thinks everyone who approaches our house is a potential friend. I look through the peephole and feel my stomach drop. It's Renee, and she looks like she's been through a war. Her hair, usually perfectly styled, is pulled back in a messy ponytail. She's wearing jeans. Actual jeans, not the designer kind that cost $300, just regular jeans and a wrinkled blouse. No makeup, or at least not the full face she usually wears. She looks exhausted and desperate and absolutely furious. I consider not opening the door. I've got every right to ignore her. This is my house, my sanctuary, my pathetic little kingdom. But curiosity wins out. I want to see this. I want to hear what she has to say after 3 weeks of radio silence on my end. I open the door, but don't invite her in. Just stand there in the doorway, Benny pushing his nose past my legs to greet her. "Cal," she says, and her voice cracks immediately. "We need to talk." "Do we?" I ask, keeping my tone neutral, because I feel like we covered everything pretty thoroughly 3 weeks ago. You think I'm pathetic, your family doesn't like me, I'm not worth inviting to weddings. What else is there to discuss? Her face crumples, and she starts crying. Not the pretty, delicate tears she used to use when she wanted something. Real, ugly crying with mascara running and her nose getting red. "Cal, please. Please. You destroyed everything. Everything." I lean against the doorframe, arms crossed. I destroyed everything? That's an interesting interpretation. I'd say I stopped funding everything. There's a difference. She wipes her face with the back of her hand, leaving a smear of black makeup across her cheek. Claudia is furious. She and Marcus had to cancel their entire honeymoon. They showed up at the airport, and there was nothing. No reservation, no villa, nothing. Do you know how humiliating that was? They had to tell everyone they decided to postpone the trip. Sounds awkward, I say flatly. I hate awkward situations. Oh wait, that's what you said about me. That I make things awkward. Renee takes a shaky breath. My car is gone, Cal. I had to borrow Mom's old sedan just to get here. I have no access to money. My credit cards are maxed out, and I can't pay them because you took all the money from our account. I'm completely cut off. Not completely, I correct her. You still have your job at your mother's charity. That pays you. What, $20,000 a year? You can live on that. Lots of people do. They're very tired, apparently, but they manage. She stares at me like I'm speaking a foreign language. Are you serious right now? You're actually going to stand there and act like this is justified? Like you didn't just blow up our entire life over a wedding invitation? I feel my jaw tighten. It wasn't about the wedding invitation, Renee. It was about 14 years of being treated like I'm not good enough. Like I'm this embarrassing burden you all tolerate because I pay for things. Your sister didn't want me at her wedding because I'm pathetic. Your mother thinks I'm beneath you. And you. I pause, making sure she's really hearing this. You stood there eating toast and told me to my face that I make things awkward, that I don't fit, and you said it like it was just a fact, like it was obvious and reasonable that your family would exclude me. I didn't think you'd react like this, she says, her voice rising. I thought you'd be upset, maybe we'd have a fight, but this is insane, Cal. You canceled their honeymoon. You took all our money. You repossessed my car. That's not being hurt. That's being vindictive. I actually laugh at that. Can't help it. You know what's vindictive, Renee? Spending 14 years of someone's life, letting them pay for everything, support your entire family financially, and then casually informing them they're not worth basic respect or inclusion. That's vindictive. What I did was just practical. I removed myself from a situation where I wasn't valued. She steps closer, and I can see the desperation in her eyes now. This isn't just about the money or the car or the honeymoon. This is about her realizing that the safety net is gone. That the reliable, pathetic guy who always showed up and fixed things and paid for everything has left the building. Cal, we've been married for 14 years. You can't just throw that away because your feelings got hurt. My feelings got hurt. I repeat, my voice getting dangerously quiet. Renee, you call me pathetic. Your mother treats me like I'm the help. Your sister wouldn't even look at me at family dinners. For 14 years, I've been the punchline to a joke I wasn't in on. And yeah, I could have left earlier. Probably should have. But I kept thinking it would get better. That if I just tried harder, supported more, was more understanding, your family would eventually accept me. But they never did. And you never stood up for me. Not once. She's full-on sobbing now, and part of me, a small, almost extinct part, feels bad. But the rest of me, the part that's been building up resentment for over a decade, feels nothing. Mom says you embarrassed the family, she chokes out. She says you showed your true colors, that you were always just pretending to be a good husband. I nod slowly. Your mom's right about one thing. I was pretending. I was pretending that being treated like an ATM machine with feelings was normal. That being excluded from family events while still being expected to fund them made sense. That hearing my wife call me pathetic while eating breakfast was something I should just accept. Renee looks at me with something like fear now. What are you saying? Are we getting divorced? The question hangs in the air between us. The D word. The thing we've been dancing around for 3 weeks. I look at my wife, or soon-to-be ex-wife, standing on my doorstep looking like her world is ending, and I realize something. I don't love her anymore. Maybe I haven't for a while. Maybe I've just been going through the motions, holding on to the idea of what I thought marriage should be rather than accepting what it actually was. Yeah, I say finally. Yeah, we're getting divorced. She makes this sound like I've physically struck her. Cal, no. No, we can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can work on things. I'll talk to my family. I'll make them apologize. I hold up my hand. Renee, stop. Just stop. I don't want their apologies. I don't want to fix this. I'm done. I've been done for a while. I was just too busy trying to be good enough to notice. She reaches out like she's going to grab my arm, but I step back. You can't do this. You can't just give up on us. I look at her. Really look at her. and see someone I don't recognize anymore. Or maybe someone I'm finally seeing clearly for the first time. I'm not giving up on us, Renee. There is no us. There's you and your family. And there's me funding it all while being told I'm not good enough. That's not a marriage. That's a transaction. And I'm closing the account. Her face hardens then, the tears stopping like someone flipped a switch. This is the Renee I know. The one who appears when she doesn't get her way. Fine, she says, her voice cold. Fine. If that's what you want, we'll get divorced. But don't expect this to be easy, Cal. My family has lawyers. Good lawyers. We'll fight for everything. I smile, and it's not a nice smile. Go ahead. Fight for the house that's in my name only. Fight for the money I earned. Fight for access to accounts you never contributed to. Your family has lawyers? Great. I have documentation. Every loan I gave your mother. Every bill I paid. Every financial decision I made that you all benefited from. We can lay it all out in court if you want. See how elegant that looks. She stares at me, and I can see her calculating, realizing that maybe, just maybe, she doesn't have the leverage she thought she did. You've really thought this through, she says quietly. Yeah, I say. I have. Turns out mechanical engineers are pretty good at planning. Who knew? She turns to leave, then stops and looks back at me. You're not the man I married, Calvin. You're right, I agree. The man you married was too scared to stand up for himself. Too desperate for approval. Too pathetic to realize he deserved better. But that guy's gone. You and your family made sure of that. She walks away without another word, gets into Margot's old sedan, and drives off. I close the door, lean against it, and exhale a breath I didn't know I was holding. Benny looks up at me, tail wagging, completely unbothered by the drama. I scratch his ears and say, just you and me now, buddy. And you know what? I think we're going to be just fine. The thing about blowing up your life is that people don't just accept it and move on. They try to negotiate. They try to manipulate. They launch what I've come to think of as the apology tour, a desperate, last-ditch effort to restore the status quo by pretending they've suddenly seen the error of their ways. It's transparent as hell, but it's also kind of fascinating to watch from the outside now that I'm no longer emotionally invested in the outcome. The tour starts exactly 4 days after Renee's doorstep meltdown. I'm at work, mid-morning, deep in a design review meeting where we're discussing stress tolerances for a new aerospace component, when my phone starts buzzing in my pocket. I ignore it because I'm actually engaged in my work for once, contributing ideas, catching potential problems before they become expensive mistakes. This is what I'm good at. This is what I should have been focusing on all along instead of managing the Davenport family's emotional and financial crises. When the meeting ends and I check my phone, I have 3 missed calls from a number I have saved as Margot, do not answer. That label was Rachel's idea, actually. She saw Margot's name in my contacts without any warning label and said, you need a system, like how they labeled dangerous chemicals in labs. Proper hazard identification. So now my phone is full of properly labeled hazards. It's therapeutic. There's also a voicemail. Against my better judgment, or maybe because I'm feeling confident enough to handle whatever she's got to throw at me. I listen to it. Margot's voice comes through, and it's different from the righteous fury I got 3 weeks ago. Now she sounds calculated, like she's reading from a script she workshopped with a focus group. Calvin, dear, it's Margot. I was hoping we could have a conversation. I think there have been some misunderstandings, and I'd like the opportunity to clear the air. Would you be available for lunch today? My treat, of course. Nothing fancy, just a chance to talk. Call me back when you get this. I play it again, listening for the subtext. Misunderstandings. That's rich. There was no misunderstanding when they didn't invite me to the wedding. No confusion when Renee called me pathetic. But now that the money's gone and consequences have arrived, suddenly it's all just a big misunderstanding that can be cleared up over lunch. Her treat. How generous. I delete the voicemail without responding. 20 minutes later, my office phone rings. I check the caller ID, and it's the front desk. Cal, you have a visitor, says Jenny, our receptionist. She sounds confused. A Margot Davenport? She says she's your mother-in-law and that it's urgent. Of course she does. When I don't respond to the phone, she just shows up at my workplace. Because boundaries are for other people, not the Davenport family. I consider telling Jenny to send her away, but honestly, I'm curious. I want to see this performance in person. Send her to the conference room. I say, I'll be there in 5 minutes. I take my time, let her wait a bit, Because petty is my new operating mode, and I'm leaning into it. When I finally walk into the conference room, Margot is standing by the window looking out at our parking lot like she's contemplating the view from a penthouse instead of a mid-level office building in an industrial park. She turns when I enter, and she's in full Margot mode. Designer suit, pearls, perfectly styled hair. But I can see the cracks. Her makeup is a little heavier than usual, probably covering stress-induced skin issues. Her smile is tight, forced. "Calvin," she says warmly, like we're old friends meeting for brunch. "Thank you for seeing me. I know you're busy." I don't sit down, don't offer her a seat, just stand there with my arms crossed. "You have 5 minutes, Margot. I've got actual work to do." Her smile falters for just a second, then snaps back into place. Of course. I'll be brief. "Calvin, I've been doing a lot of reflecting these past few weeks, and I realize that perhaps our family hasn't always shown you the appreciation you deserve." I almost laugh. "Perhaps." She continues, ignoring my interruption. "The situation with Claudia's wedding. I understand now that excluding you may have seemed hurtful. That wasn't our intention. Claudia was under a lot of stress with the planning, and she wanted a very specific atmosphere." I hold up my hand. "Stop. Just stop. You came all the way to my office to give me the 'it wasn't personal' speech? To tell me that not inviting me to a family wedding was just about atmosphere? Margot, I've known you for 14 years. I know exactly how your family operates. This isn't a misunderstanding. This is you realizing that the guy you've been using as a personal bank finally closed his accounts." Her expression hardens for a moment. There's the real Margot, but she reins it in. "That's not fair, Calvin. We've never used you. Your family." I actually do laugh at that. Family? Family doesn't get excluded from weddings. Family doesn't get called pathetic over breakfast. Family doesn't get treated like an embarrassment while simultaneously being expected to fund everyone's lifestyle. She shifts tactics, her voice getting softer, more concerned. "Calvin, dear, we never meant to hurt you. Truly. And if we did, I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry. Can't we move past this? You and Renee have been married for so long. Surely that's worth fighting for." "You're not sorry, Margot," I say flatly. "You're sorry you lost access to my money. There's a difference." She opens her mouth to protest, but I keep going. "You know what would have happened if I was still useful to you? If I still had that joint account full of cash and was still paying for everyone's emergencies? We wouldn't be having this conversation. You wouldn't be at my office doing this apology tour. You'd still be making jokes about middle-class people looking tired and expecting me to smile and take it." Her mask slips completely now. I can see the calculation in her eyes, the frustration that her usual tactics aren't working. "What do you want, Calvin? What will it take for you to stop this? This vendetta?" I lean against the conference table. "I don't want anything from you, Margot. That's the part you're not getting. I don't want your apology. I don't want to reconcile. I don't want to pretend like 14 years of being treated like I'm not good enough can be erased with one lunch conversation. I just want to be left alone." She stares at me for a long moment, and I can see her recalibrating. When she speaks again, her voice has lost all pretense of warmth. "You're making a mistake, Calvin. Divorce is expensive, messy. You'll lose half of everything." I smile. "I'm a mechanical engineer, Margot. I understand how things break under stress. And I've done the math. Half of everything is still more than what I'd have if I stayed married to your daughter and kept funding your family's lifestyle. I'll take my chances." She leaves without another word, her heels clicking sharply against the floor, and I feel nothing. No guilt, no regret, no last-minute doubt. Just a mild satisfaction that I finally told Margot Davenport exactly what I think of her and her family's bullshit. Rachel catches me in the hallway afterward. "Was that really your mother-in-law? Jenny said she looked like she was about to murder someone when she left." I grin. Former mother-in-law. And yeah, that was Margot. She wanted to apologize for the misunderstandings. Did she actually apologize? Rachel asks. Sort of, I say. In that way where you apologize for someone else's feelings rather than your own actions. Rachel rolls her eyes. Classic non-apology. What did you say? I shrug. I told her I did the math, and I'm keeping my money. She bursts out laughing. God, I love the new you. The old you probably would have forgiven them and written a check. She's not wrong. The apology tour continues over the next week. Claudia texts me, after I unblock her number out of morbid curiosity, with a message that's clearly been drafted and redacted multiple times. Uncle Cal, I've been thinking a lot about everything that happened. I'm sorry if you felt excluded from my wedding. That wasn't my intention. I was just trying to keep things small and intimate. I hope we can move past this. Family is important. Also, about the honeymoon situation. Is there any way we could work something out? Marcus and I saved up some money, but not enough for the Maldives. Maybe you could reconsider? For family. I read it 3 times, marveling at the audacity. She starts with, I'm sorry if you felt excluded, another classic non-apology, then immediately pivots to asking if I'll reinstate the honeymoon funding. For family. The family that excluded me. I screenshot it and send it to Rachel with the caption, the lion, the witch, and the audacity of this bitch. She responds with crying laughing emojis. I text Claudia back, Hi Claudia. I appreciate you reaching out. To clarify, I didn't feel excluded. I was actually excluded. You made a deliberate choice not to invite me to your wedding because your mother thought I was pathetic. That's not a feeling. That's a fact. As for the honeymoon, I'm sure you and Marcus can figure something out. Maybe try the Poconos? I hear they're lovely this time of year. Much more affordable. Best wishes. Then I block her number again. The next attempt comes from an unexpected source. Marcus himself. He calls from yet another new number. These people must think I'm stupid, and I answer because I'm actually curious what the finance bro has to say. Calvin, he starts, and his voice has that forced casualness that men use when they're trying to have a reasonable conversation. I think we got off on the wrong foot. Man to man, I think you and I can work this out without all the drama. Work what out? I ask. There's nothing to work out, Marcus. You married into a family that treated me like garbage. I removed myself from the situation, and now you're all dealing with the consequences. That's pretty straightforward. He clears his throat. Look, I get that you're upset, but canceling our honeymoon? That was a nuclear option, don't you think? Claudia was devastated. She cried for days. And I wait for him to continue. And I think you should make it right. We could set up a payment plan if money's tight for you right now. I actually laugh out loud at that. Money's not tight, Marcus. I just don't want to spend it on people who think I'm not good enough to attend their wedding. Here's a crazy thought. Maybe you should have planned a honeymoon you could actually afford instead of expecting someone you barely know to fund it. There's a long pause. Then Marcus's voice gets colder, more aggressive. You know what, Calvin? You're acting like a child. A petulant, vindictive child. Claudia's family has been nothing but welcoming to you. I interrupt him. Stop. Just stop right there. You've been in this family for what, 6 months? You have no idea what you're talking about. They weren't welcoming. They were tolerant. There's a difference. And they were only tolerant because I paid for things. Now that I've stopped, suddenly I'm the problem. Fine, he snaps. Be that way. But don't expect anyone to feel sorry for you when you end up alone and miserable. I smile even though he can't see it. Marcus, I'm already alone. And you know what? I'm the least miserable I've been in 14 years. But hey, good luck with your marriage. Pro tip, maybe learn to fund your own lifestyle before you lecture other people about maturity. I hang up before he can respond. That evening, I'm home with Benny, making dinner and actually enjoying the quiet, when my phone buzzes with one final message. It's from Renee. My lawyer says we should try mediation before filing. Can we please just talk? I don't want this to get ugly. I stare at the message for a long time. Then I type back. It's already ugly, Renee. It's been ugly for years. I was just too pathetic to notice. I file for separation on a Tuesday morning, and it feels like the first honest thing I've done in years. My lawyer, a sharp woman named Patricia who Rachel recommended, looks over my documentation and actually whistles. You've got everything, she says, impressed. House in your name, accounts in your name, documentation of every financial contribution. This should be straightforward. How straightforward? I ask. Very. Unless she wants to fight for things she has no legal claim to, which will just cost her money she apparently doesn't have. I sign the papers, and Patricia files them that afternoon. It's done. Officially over. I text Renee, separation papers filed. You'll be served tomorrow. I'm sorry it came to this, but I'm not sorry I'm leaving. She doesn't respond. 2 weeks later, I move into a smaller loft downtown. It's modern, minimalist, all windows and exposed brick. I decorate it with plants, vintage vinyl records, and 0 photos of the Davenports. Benny loves it, especially the dog park nearby. Rachel helps me move, and afterward, We order pizza and sit on my new couch. 6 months pass, and I'm thriving. Got promoted to senior engineer, adopted a second dog, a rescue mutt named Charlie who Benny adores, and took that Maldives trip myself. Solo vacation, and it was perfect. Trent keeps me updated on the Davenport implosion. Claudia's marriage lasted 4 months before Marcus discovered she was completely broke and bailed. Margot's charity folded after a financial audit raised questions about her administrative expenses. Renee sold her jewelry collection to cover bills and moved back in with her mother. Meanwhile, Rachel and I have been seeing each other. Nothing serious yet, just dating, but she makes me laugh and treats me like I matter. It's refreshing. I'm at the Celestial Shores now, sitting at the resort bar with an overpriced cocktail, watching the sunset over that impossibly turquoise water. The bartender asks, "Celebrating something special, sir?" Yeah, I grin. Freedom. And being gloriously, beautifully pathetic. Before I left, I sent Renee one final text. Don't worry, babe. You finally got what you wanted. Life without me footing the bill. I raise my glass, toast to my own peace, and laugh. Victory never tasted so sweet.